Tony Stewart. NASCAR had never seen anything like him, and it had no idea how to handle it. He didn't just race, he detonated. 750 horsepower and pure fury. He wasn't just aggressive, he weaponized the track. He once launched a helmet at Matt Kenseth mid-race. Another time, he tried to shove a reporter for asking a question he didn't like. He was warned, fined, suspended, put on probation. NASCAR kept throwing rules and penalties at him, hoping he'd calm down. He didn't. Stewart drove like he was late for war. Newer drivers were literally told, "Stay out of his mirror, or you're going airborne." But here's the catch. NASCAR needed him. The chaos, the fire, the edge. He made every race feel like a brawl with seatbelts. And even now, his legacy burns. Kyle Busch. He wasn't the first problem NASCAR had, but he was the one they couldn't solve. So they tried everything. Penalties, suspensions, fines. None of it worked. His speed was real. His skill was undeniable. But the attitude, that's where it got messy. He drove with one hand on the wheel, and the other flipping you off. So, NASCAR made a change. Stricter rules on retaliation. Tighter calls on aggressive driving. They didn't say it outright, but that rule had Kyle's name all over it. Didn't matter. Busch kept going, kept winning. Over 200 wins across all 3 series. That wasn't normal. That was dominance. Whether it was Cup, Xfinity, or trucks, if there was a trophy, he wanted it. Didn't matter who stood in the way. In 2011, at Texas, he wrecked Ron Hornaday under caution. NASCAR parked him for 2 races, one of the rare times they've ever done that. And Busch acted like he was the victim. Fans either hated him or loved him. There was no in-between. He smiled through all of it. The hate didn't break him, it fueled him. But here's what people forget. He wasn't just a villain. He was fast, dangerous fast, reckless but calculated. He didn't just bend NASCAR, he made it flinch. Dale Earnhardt. They didn't call him the Intimidator for nothing. In February of 2001, Earnhardt hit the wall at Daytona final lap, 180 miles per hour. The crash killed him instantly. NASCAR wasn't ready. They had safety protocols, but nothing for this. Not for Dale and not for that kind of wreck. It wasn't just a tragedy. It was a turning point. So they changed everything. First came the Hans device, a neck restraint to stop whiplash injuries, then stronger helmets, then the 6-point harness, seats wrapped tighter, walls lined with safer foam. Then came the new car, higher roof, wider frame, built to absorb hits. Every change because of that crash. The entire sport shifted. The rulebook didn't just get updated, it got rebuilt. Every suit, every helmet, every wall owes something to Earnhardt. He didn't just break records, he broke NASCAR's sense of safety. The Intimidator didn't survive it, but the sport did, because after Dale, danger wasn't just real, it was measured. Curtis Turner. He wasn't just aggressive on the track, he challenged the entire system off it. In 1961, Turner tried to unionize NASCAR drivers. He partnered with Jimmy Hoffa to do it. NASCAR didn't negotiate, they banned him for life. Literally no warnings, no appeals. He became the only driver in history to get that punishment. And he earned it. Turner wasn't just fast, he was reckless. Fans watched because they didn't know what he'd do next. But behind the chaos was real talent. He won early and often, dominated short tracks, and became one of the sport's first big names. After 4 years, NASCAR lifted the ban. He came back, won again, and made it clear nothing had changed. Turner didn't just push limits on the track, he forced NASCAR to define where the limits were. His legacy wasn't stats, it was impact. The union push failed, but it forced NASCAR to tighten control. Curtis Turner showed how far a driver could go before the sport finally pushed back. Cale Yarborough. Cale's racing wasn't just aggressive, it was disruptive, and NASCAR had to step in. In the late 70s, Cale used his car like a weapon. He'd bump, block, and trade paint like it was part of the rulebook. In 1979, he got into a full-blown fight on national TV. He and the Allison brothers turned the Daytona 500 into a brawl. The crash was big, but the fight was bigger. NASCAR realized they had a problem. Fans loved the chaos, but the sport couldn't run on punches and payback, so they tightened things up. New contact rules, more fines, more officiating. They didn't outlaw aggression, they just made drivers pick their moments. His style reshaped the limits of physical driving. The fights faded over time, but the rules stuck, and they still shape what drivers can get away with. Cale made NASCAR better, even if it meant forcing the sport to act. Kevin Harvick. When Dale Earnhardt died in 2001, Kevin Harvick was the rookie suddenly asked to replace a legend. He took the number 29 car and won in just his third start. But what followed wasn't just success, it was chaos. Harvick didn't just race, he confronted, on track, on pit road, in the garage. In 2002, he intentionally spun Coy Gibbs in a Truck Series race. The move got him parked for a Cup race, the first driver ever suspended for aggressive driving. NASCAR called it a safety issue. Harvick called it hard racing. That wasn't the only time. He once chased after Biffle during a live interview. Officials had to separate him more than once. So, NASCAR stepped in. They called him to meetings, warned him, fined him, suspended him again in the Truck Series, and re-emphasized their zero-tolerance stance on retaliation. But Harvick kept pushing, and eventually won a championship in 2014, all while towing the line between hard racing and full-contact revenge. By the mid-2010s, NASCAR tightened how they enforced driver conduct, especially post-race fights and pit road incidents. Harvick wasn't the only reason, but he was one of the loudest. Tim Richmond. Tim Richmond wasn't built for NASCAR, but he forced NASCAR to change anyway. He came from open-wheel racing, young, wild, charismatic. He had movie star looks and drove like the script couldn't touch him. In the mid-'80s, he joined Hendrick Motorsports, and within 2 years, he won 7 races, including back-to-back at Pocono and Riverside. He wasn't just fast, he was fearless. On the track, he took risks others wouldn't. Off the track, he lived louder than the sport allowed. He didn't care what the old guard thought, and they didn't know what to do with him. Then, in 1987, he got sick, missed half the season. NASCAR said it was pneumonia. It wasn't. Richmond had AIDS. He kept it secret, came back mid-season, and won again. In 1988, NASCAR suspended him. They said it was due to a failed drug test. Later, it was revealed the test was flawed. Richmond sued. NASCAR quietly reinstated him. But the damage was already done. He never raced again. And in 1989, he died at just 34. After that, NASCAR rewrote its protocols. Stronger drug testing, clearer guidelines, more medical transparency. Tim didn't race to make statements, but his story did. Robbie Gordon. Robbie Gordon didn't just race. He disrupted everything. He came from off-road, aggressive, bold, loud. In the early 2000s, he joined Richard Childress Racing, won races, took names, but he didn't follow etiquette, he followed impulse. At New Hampshire in 2001, he passed Jeff Gordon under caution and took the win. Controversial, but legal. Then came Montreal 2007. He spun out Marcos Ambrose under green. NASCAR black flagged him. He refused to listen. The next day he was suspended. But Robbie didn't stop. He called out NASCAR officials on live TV, questioned penalties. Robbie ran his own team, filed protests, fought for loopholes. Eventually, NASCAR adjusted. Stricter oversight, harsher penalties, less room to rebel. Robbie didn't break the sport. He broke its patience and forced it to evolve. If you made it this far, I'll be breaking down a lot more here. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. Thanks for watching.